This episode of the NAST podcast is sponsored by Seattle Restored. Seattle Restored is actually the reason why I'm in NAST Studios in the first place. They partner with local artists and entrepreneurs to create pop-up shops, artist installations, artist residencies, and community events. Visit seattlerestored.org for more info on locations and upcoming events. Are you ready to take your podcast to the next level? Then look no further than NAST Studios, located in Seattle's Pioneer Square. Hi, I'm Blake. I'm the owner, in-house producer, and editor. We've got 3 cameras to capture every moment and can host up to 8 mics, ensuring your podcast looks and sounds professional. We've got affordable pricing for podcasters at all levels. So what are you waiting for? Visit www.naststudios.com. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today I'm with another Seattle Restored participant. This time I'm with a studio owner as well as an artist. He's also, I would say, a community leader. He does workshops. He has his own podcast called I think it's, at least it's titled The Artist Spotlight, where you interview local artists. It's my pleasure to have on Nino Yuniardi.
Yeah, good job.
Did I do it right?
Yeah, you did right.
Yuniardi. There we go.
Yes.
It almost sounds like Italian a little bit.
It depends how you say it. Like, Yuniardi. That's Italian.
Amazing. So let's start at the very beginning. Are you originally from Seattle?
No, I'm originally from Indonesia.
Oh, wow.
I grew up there until around 18 years old, and then I moved to the States for school.
Nice.
Yeah, but I originally from Jakarta.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what school did you go to, and what were you studying?
So I actually came to the States for exchange students.
Oh, nice.
In Missouri.
Okay.
For about 9 months or so for my high school, and then went back to home and come back to Seattle, actually, to Art Institute of Seattle.
Okay.
And then after I was done, I transferred to Pasadena Art Institute, Art Center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Art Center College of Design. I studied graphic design there, and paintings always on the side.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my background basically.
Nice. So what was Missouri like? I feel like that's what the heck's in Missouri?
Cornfields.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. That was the first time I moved to the States, and just happy to be in the States.
Yeah.
No expectation. 18 years old.
Yeah.
19, something like that. And then, it was kind of about 45 minutes off St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of small town. But yeah, that was the first time, in the American culture introduction.
Yeah.
So everybody's kind of happy. I mean, friendly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good experience. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So were you kind of just confused at first when you were first there? Like, were you kind of I guess a small fish in a big pond kind of feeling, or?
Yeah, definitely. But I wasn't, I was pretty chill kind of kid. I don't think too much. Could be good or bad, but
yeah.
but at that time it was like, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Who are you? I was the only Asian there actually.
Dang.
So looking back, I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. But when I was there, it was all good.
Nice.
If people make fun of me, I didn't know.
Yeah.
But everybody's welcoming, and we hang out and learn the culture a little bit. So
yeah.
A little homesick at the end, but it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then from that experience, that led you to wanting to do art in the States, or are there art schools in Indonesia?
Yeah.
Or
There are, but growing up, I never thought art is viable thing to do back then. In here a little bit better, but now I think about it, is the narrative still kind of similar. Art is hard.
Yeah.
To make consistent income. That's kind of a little bit tough. But yeah, and then because of the States, I feel it's a good place to learn more about art. So I came back for that.
Dang.
And then had to choose at some point which kind of art,
Right.
because there's so many of them. So I taste everything,
Mhm.
the buffet of art, from advertising, illustration. At that time, was there's a CD-ROM design. I don't know if you know that.
Amazing.
Yeah, graphic design, illustration. I didn't try culinary arts, but most of the visual arts, I tried them all, and then I ended up in graphic design.
Nice. And was your family always pretty supportive of you doing arts, or?
Yeah, definitely. So
Okay.
that's a positive thing about my parents. They're like, okay, cool, do whatever you want that makes you happy, kind of thing. They gave me oil and acrylic paint set when I was a kid. So that's the introduction. I think it was around when I was in ninth grade.
Nice.
Yeah, and then got a taste of oil painting, and I kind of hooked after that. Like, don't care about the other school activities, you just paint. So it's always good.
Nice. So you went to Seattle and then you transferred to Pasadena. Did you spend time in Pasadena after graduation, or did you come straight back to Seattle? Or
I came straight back to Seattle, I think, because the first city I landed in the States was Seattle. So I landed in the state. I think it was for about a couple of weeks or 2-3 weeks. It was an introduction as an exchange student. So everybody from different countries come to the Seattle. We stayed at Evergreen State College.
okay, yeah.
That was the introduction of what would you expect in American high school. So they had different fake classes that we go through for a couple of weeks. This is what you're gonna expect, blah blah blah. It's kind of cool. And then the first time I landed here was green and fresh air. Totally different than when I grew up in Indonesia. It's different. It's all tropical. So this is like
Humid, probably then, yeah.
very humid over there. Yeah. So here was super fresh. It was a great shock.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, maybe I should come back to Seattle.
Dang.
After Pasadena. So yeah, I came back here for design jobs. So yeah,
Nice.
freelance here and there, and then landed in design work. So yeah.
So what year was that when you first came to Seattle?
97-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, 1997.
Dang.
A long time ago. Oh my god. Yeah.
I was a twinkle in my mom's eye, is what they say.
Yeah.
So then with that, you majored in graphic design, you'd say?
Yeah.
And then like what type of jobs were you looking for? Were you looking like for like super cool jobs, or just jobs that like would pay the bills as a graphic designer, or what was that process like?
Definitely aiming for cool jobs.
Yeah.
I was majoring in graphic and packaging design, so I like tactile things and making box, things like that. But I didn't get packaging design much here, so I ended up doing more of like logo design and annual reports, books, things like that. The traditional graphic design work.
Right.
Maybe a couple of packaging design, but not a whole lot. So, but still, at least still in graphic design work, right? And then at the same time, painting still on the side, once in a while, just for fun, doing things like that. So I never, leave painting behind. It's only like the side note.
Do you think graphic designers want or have the desire to be artists as well, or do you think there's some graphic designers that are like, I'm just doing this so I can make logos and my brain only works in this way? Or
I guess it depends on the person,
right?
But I wouldn't be surprised if maybe at least 80%, 85% of graphic designers also love to paint, or making, we'll call it fine art, right? Meaning making art for yourself versus making art to solve other people's problem.
Right.
Like, that's what design is. Making logos or making illustration for somebody or making book for somebody. There's a lot of constraint in there. Also, a good problem to solve. it's kind of just a different thing.
Right.
And fine art more about what do you want to do, what story I want to tell. There's a lot of freedom in there, but also could be overwhelming because it's all up to you.
Right.
Nobody tells you what to do.
Yeah.
So it's a different thing. But I think having tasted both, it's almost like two different person, and you can
Right.
flip flop between the two.
Got
So
it.
yeah, I think if I think about it, I think a lot of people like freedom.
Mhm.
Freedom to do things, and it comes down to how much freedom do you want and how much direction you want too. Sometimes people want to get some direction because they can get lost in the big sea of ideas.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Where do you think you fall on that?
I think I'm in between,
Yeah.
in the middle. I like both. I like working, solving a problem for somebody because it's very like time. You have time box. You have a little bit of structure, versus doing your own thing. Sometimes you have to put your own structure in there.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in the both worlds. Sometimes I feel like I want to do one or the other, but turns out I think both are good and kind of inspiring each other,
Got it.
because you think about them differently. Like also mentally, it's different. Like
Right. So
different.
you're currently still like a graphic designer at
I
the
do,
time?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I'm looking at it as I have a design
Mm.
is my job. Art is my business.
Yeah.
It's not part time or full time.
Mhm.
Both are full time, I think.
Right.
It's just you just look at them and deal with them differently, because both, again, support each other.
Right.
I think. Yeah.
So like, are you working for a specific company or?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm working with Oracle right now.
Okay.
As a UX designer.
Yeah.
So that's also the gradual change from the beginning,
Right.
right? I was traditional graphic design. I mean, traditional print, like print design, and but then the .com boom happened, and start slowly learning on the job about making banner ads, or those kind of things online, and becomes designing product, like digital products, like user interfaces, and yeah. So being in Seattle, there are so many tech companies,
Right.
Microsoft, Amazon, so I ended up there, learning on the job again, how to apply the graphic design part into a different application, which is software design.
Right.
Yeah. So that's another, it's a different type of work,
Yeah.
but still design work.
Yeah. You're kind of in two worlds then, because there's definitely like the artist community in Seattle who was like, I'm an artist and I would never work for tech, right? And
Sure.
then like you're kind of doing both. Like you literally like are an art studio owner,
Yeah.
and they're also working for like tech.
Yeah.
Like, is there ever like a disconnect there for you at all, or do you like, no, this makes sense to me?
So far, it makes sense. It took a while to accept that the world is not black and white. It's a lot of gray areas. And in the beginning, I thought if I want to be an artist, I need to do this full time. And then slowly I learned that everybody's different. Some people might think that way, and that's okay. Different people have different circumstances, different needs, especially financially, right? Single person would have different needs as a family person,
Right.
From financial standpoint.
For sure.
If you look at it from that point. And then the question is, how would I want to still be able to paint and then pay the bills, and pay the bills for 4 people, let's say, for a family person. So then then you have to figure out what kind of things that you can do to support that. And to me, the design work helped me do the art part, and vice versa. I think the design, the fine art part bleeds into my design work, because my design work is actually visual, so it's really visual work. So it helps both ways,
Right.
as far as like, because both are visual language. You know, how you convey ideas with visual things like forms or even abstract things, colors, textures, composition, things like those. The same language that we talk about in both worlds.
Right.
It just happens to be one is for the screen software, you know, another is for tactile things, canvases, or you know, or three-dimensional wood and things like that. But all the same about colors, composition, story. What do you want to say with those things? Yeah.
So like, what are you using when you're doing stuff for like? Are you just using like Adobe Illustrator? Do you have to like know how to code at all, or what is that like?
My world, no code. I used to use Illustrator and Photoshop. Still use them, but more lately it's more Figma. So Figma is the more popular tools now to make user interfaces. Yeah. But yeah, I still apply all of those things, design into my art practice.
Nice.
In art practice, you still, you know, especially in the studio or gallery, you make labels, you make pamphlet, you make signs. Those things are, you know, graphic design would help.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it all bleeds into those. So yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. So then, what was that journey like? Like, you came back to Seattle and you're freelancing. Have you been working at this specific job for a while, or is that more of a recent thing, or how did that come to be?
So after arrived here, I worked for a small design agency, graphic design. Maybe only a couple of years that I don't remember. And then moved into, not the .com boom started, so it's starting doing work with a startup, and the startup kind of not working out, kind of blew up because of the .com bust.
Yeah.
And then after that, ended up with Microsoft, working, let me see, on Xbox.
Nice.
So yeah, there's some game stuff. I didn't play games at that time, but then because you work on it, then you play games a little bit. It was Halo at that time.
Nice.
And then so I worked on the user interface of Xbox 360. Now it's like getting really old now.
No, this is cool.
Yeah, and then after Xbox, I think I was there about 8 years or so.
Yeah.
And then moved to Amazon, and Amazon worked on Alexa stuff. So Alexa with the screen, I worked on that. So again, that's a visual thing, right? The visual design.
Wow.
And then after Amazon, it's about 8 years or so there as well. And then I'm now with Oracle.
Dang.
Again, work on user interfaces, things like that. A little bit different audience, but as far as design problems you need to solve, it's very similar. You know, it's user interface, figuring out how people read the screen, hierarchy, where to go, you know, make sure when you tap on this, where do they go, things like that. And, you know, deal with colors, composition, shapes, and contrast.
So when you were working at Amazon, did you have to learn how touchscreens actually work, or do you understand how that? I don't even really understand how touchscreens really work, to be honest with you.
I think what we need to learn at that time was sizes, size of the font, because Alexa, Echo devices, the screens, they're kind of small screens, so but it needs to be kind of like far away, but also touchable, how big there needs to be. You know, so
Right.
at that time was pretty new. The touchscreen, like speak to the touchscreen.
For sure.
So we kind of back and forth between like how big is that? It needs to be this big, that big, and then so it's a balance between functional and also beauty.
Right.
Like if you make it too big, that's like there's no hierarchy, blah blah blah. It's just too small. Looks nice, but you can't see them. Yeah. So we had to kind of test those out.
Nice.
Well, yeah.
Do you think hierarchy has changed over time with, I guess, different styles of font coming into play, or?
I don't know about change or not. I think the principle is still the same hierarchy wise. Like it just all depends on what the screen is for. So again, go back to the intention of designing the thing. What is it for?
Yeah.
Is it for purely a beauty thing? Then maybe it's about the background that needs to be forefront. Like you're looking at that first, then the text is secondary. But if you're designing for, say, a spreadsheets, then maybe background color or background, abstract shape doesn't really matter. It's all about make sure the grid is clean, the color is correct. Red means what because it's a spreadsheet. Things like that. So it's all about the why are we designing those things? Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then break down what products does Oracle make for people who might not be familiar with Oracle.
Oracle is more of a business to business product. So it used to be a server company. So now the server is on the cloud, although it's not really on the cloud. But so we did software for, say, HR or procurement software. For all of them are business to business products. So everyday people like me not going to use it unless you work for somebody. Let's say you work for, big NAST corporation.
One day.
I don't know how many employees, but you use software, Oracle software, to say to do your procurement for, buying all these things.
That makes sense.
So that's one product. Another product is HR tools. So a payment to the employee and all of those things that happens behind the scene for, taking care of employees. That's HR. Yeah. Hiring, those kind of things.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So then how did art start to become more into play, like visual art besides like software art? How did you start like painting and is this more of a recent thing with Seattle Restored that you've been able to like start selling art and doing studio stuff, or how did that work out?
I've been painting since, again, it's what was that, 15, yeah?
Right.
15 years old, something like that. And I always wanted to paint. The reason I like painting because it's a way for me to regulate my feelings. Whenever I had, conflict with my mom or, with my friends, I go to my room and paint.
Therapy. There we go.
Therapy, yeah. Paint flowers or paint landscape, and then paintings. So because of that, I carry paintings all the way through my college years and career. Whenever I feel down or I feel like I just want to sit somewhere and meditate, I paint. And that's true, and that's the good reason why I paint. But then in 2017, I think 2018, I started the abstract art. So because before that I was dabbling on abstract, but more or less, trying to figure out why do I want to do this, and abstract feel natural to me. I feel like again, I think partly because of the therapeutic effect of it. It's more like intuitive. I just want to blah blah blah, making form, making shapes and colors and textures, without thinking too much of it. It was more like a feeling of it. But I think the graphic design part kind of influenced me, how I arrange things.
Right.
It's all about the design. Yeah, so since 2018, I just started doing that, and then just organically growing. I continue learning about how to do things.
And was that just like trial and error, or did you ever take any classes or watch videos? Or?
Both,
Got it.
try and error. Always try and error. Making art. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
experimenting. Oh, curious about this, make this. All that. In 2018, I think I took a online course called Art to Life. He's based in California, and it was an online, like, trying to remember, about 8-week course or something like that.
Nice.
8 weeks. Pretty intensive, and we do a lot of practice. And yeah, I connect with one of the student there too. That helps a lot.
Right.
Figuring out what is abstract art thing.
Yeah.
What's going on here. So and then after that, just continue doing that. And I saw the post, I think, on Seattle Restored, and then I kind of apply.
Yeah.
Kind of apply means like I don't know if I should I do this or not, but I just apply. We'll see what happens, kind of thing. But at the time I just applied. I think I want to have a studio in the back so I can work, and I have a storefront in the front.
Yeah.
So I can spread the work, let it breathe, so I can see them side by side and kind of assess them. And then if I don't like this one, bring it to the back and work on it some more. That was the idea.
Yeah.
That was what I kind of pitch on my
Sounds
application.
Legit. Yeah.
And I also mentioned about workshop. I might want to do workshop in the space too. So then I got connected to that, and I think I got two proposals in different places, and didn't work out that well. I think partly because safety and convenience is not. But this one showed up after after I signed a lease in Ballard Studio. I have a Ballard art studio there. Yeah. So basically, I have 2 studios.
Through Seattle Restored?
No. That one's myself. And the studio. Yeah. No. Seattle Restored is the only one. Yeah. But but I thought, like, well, this is a good space. It's already like a gallery. So I thought I'd just try it out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Dang.
That's basically where I'm at today. On that, still trying to figure out the balance between, is it a gallery or is it a art studio, or is it a workshop space,
right?
Or is it a rental area space,
right.
So trying to balance those out.
You gotta get on Pure. Are you on Pure Space yet?
Pure Space? No, not yet.
You gotta get on Pure Space. I just got on Pure Space, and I've already gotten like 3 bookings.
Oh, cool.
So
cool.
like, being a podcaster, podcasting is pretty niche, especially in Seattle.
Yeah.
So like, the more ways for people to find your studio, the better. So like, I gotten a couple calls through just Google, but Pure Space, those people are specifically looking for podcast studios or whatever.
Yeah.
And 3 people found me, and then off of that, I've been able to sell packages to them through their just one-off bookings. So
okay.
You should look into Pure Space.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I'll check it out.
So how did you get into, like, how long have you been in Ballard then?
Not even a year.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started there in May.
Got it.
Yeah. But before that, I worked from my home studio, which I still like to do because you don't have to travel.
Right.
So I still make a lot of art there. And then if I need a bigger space for the bigger art, then I move to Ballard Studio, Building C, or here. So I try both.
Yeah.
Just flip-flopping between the two.
So like, what's the biggest difference between the Ballard Studio and the Pioneer Square Studio?
The Pioneer Square is it's a storefront, so
it.
you get a lot more eyeballs. Although during the day it's not that many, but during Thursday Art Walk, there's a lot of people going through. That's every month.
Yeah.
So that's a plus. Ballard building C Studio, it's an art studio, like kind of closed art studio, so it's not open to the public unless you make an appointment. Or we also have open studio session event
Got it.
only twice a year.
Got
like,
it.
in May or June, and then in December. Yeah, so it's a different type of function space. Is that space is more like you're an artist going there and work. Here it's more like show your work.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a gallery, right?
Yeah.
It used to be Linda Hodges Gallery, and she's been there for 20 plus years.
Dang.
I think. Yeah. So when I took over, it's already set up as a gallery.
Yeah. What happened to Linda?
She just retired, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, she retired. I don't know her, so yeah. But yeah.
Nice.
I think that's what happened.
So how was Art Walk for you last Thursday? Like it was crazy.
It was crazy.
Right?
Thursday, was it? Were you?
I went to some of them. I don't think I went to yours, but I
okay.
saw a few, and it was popping off.
Yeah, it was pretty packed. Partly because of the show this month. We had about 30 artists in there.
Dang.
It's a group show, and imagine like 30 artists. They bring their family and friends.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of people.
yeah, for sure.
So it was a happening Thursday. It was a lot of people.
Nice.
So most people would just go there and hang out, and then they usually come back when it's a little quieter, so they can enjoy the art a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's usually what happened. Yeah, it was good. We always have live music there. Spreads of snacks and drinks. Let people enjoy the space. So Thursday always good for us. Always good.
Do you see more like people buying art on that day too on Art Thursdays?
On and off.
Got
This show was pretty good. So we sold, I think, 6 pieces at that night.
Nice.
Yeah, but usually Art Walk it depends on the price as well. Usually the lower price usually sells on Art Walk day.
Got it.
But the higher price point usually takes a while. People will come back, think about it. It makes sense, that's if it's more expensive, people want to look at it again, think about it, and come back again. Those kind of things. Yeah.
Is Seattle do you think it's an art consuming city though? Do you think people want to collect art in Seattle?
I don't know about that really. It's kind of funny. Yeah. Earlier, I thought it is a space, especially with the tech jobs and other jobs around here. Boeing. It all depends on the person, though. It's not like about the income. I guess it's there too. But at the end of the day, like even if you have money, if you don't like art, I think you don't buy art.
Right.
It's just a personal choice. Yeah, but by working with galleries, so I work with the galleries in Kirkland, one in Whidbey Island, and one in South Carolina. The one in Whidbey and South Carolina, they sell more.
Dang.
The one in Kirkland. So I don't know how that works.
Right.
Honestly, I'm not a gallerist, although I have a space like a gallery.
Yeah.
Those things I kind of like need to continue learning what's happening.
Yeah.
It's almost like trying to have a crystal ball, like what's happening, who's buying, what's going on, you know, those kind of things. But I imagine the gallery here that's been here for a while, established gallery, they, over time, people trust them. People trust and then say, I'm going to go to the gallery because either personal connection or they just trust their taste and in their quality, saying, if I buy from them, it's a good art, you know, those kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's what I'm thinking, like, you know, but maybe some people, I don't care who sell them. I just look at the art. If it's good, I'll buy it, you know. It doesn't matter who. So, but, you know, I don't know. I mean, I sell more art through my Instagram than through other channels.
Wow.
But I'm not saying those channels not important. I think that's what I mean again about Nothing is black and white. It's gray. You can't just say, I just want to do this. No, I want to do this and that. You know, it's almost like diversifying your portfolio.
Right,
Right?
100%.
Yeah. So
I would say the only idea I would have about the Whidbey Island is maybe people are buying art there because it's almost like a souvenir because you have to actually travel to that
that's
location,
true.
you know?
Yeah. That part is true as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just the word like island, you know, that has a certain romantic twist to it.
Right.
So yeah, people like to shop there
Yeah.
when they visit, right? Yeah.
So have you strictly stuck to abstract art still, or do you do other types of art now too, or what is that like for you?
I'm sticking to our abstract right now. Not saying no to other things,
Right.
because I'm always curious about making other things too. I did pivot a little bit more, not pivot, like more expand from flat, you know, on canvas to 3-dimensional on wood. So I put together scrap wood and paint it as well. So painting, so but still abstract. But the idea of those is again still different pieces coming together. So that's the whole idea: different colors, different shapes, different textures coming together. Just like my idea of different food ingredients as the title. So
Yeah.
it's making it 3D.
Yeah. So what do you say to people that people are not really, I feel like it's always the people that don't really know much about art. They're like, anyone can make abstract art.
Yeah.
Why would I buy it for this when I could just make it myself?
Yeah.
Like, what are your opinions on that?
That's awesome. You should make them. That's, to me, if you depends on where that statement coming from. If it comes from the positive source, I'm inspired and want to do that. Awesome.
Yes.
I did my job. You know, that means, yeah, you should do it, because the more people making art, I feel, I'm biased, the better the world could be. But partly because I make art for, you know, my own therapy too, right? It's a good thing. But if you're coming from, I don't know what else there, the negative source, right? Saying, it sucks, I can do that too, you know. Okay, that's fine too. I mean, like, what else am I gonna say? It's your opinion. You're entitled to that. And to me, this is more for the artist, I think. Don't let that bother you. You know, you put your work out there. You ask for it. So if people make fun of your work, you ask for it. Just let them be. It's your, you know, you just do you kind of thing. You make your art, and people don't. Some people will like your work. Some people will not. So that's just the nature of it. And don't let that, you know, ruin your day.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what would you say attracts you to abstract so much, do you think?
The freedom of it, I think, and it's about layering things. That's how I work. It's layer things. It's less pressure saying, when I go to the studio today, I have to finish it. It's less about that. It's more about responding to what's on the canvas. You know, I said this shape, that shape. Oh, okay, that's cool. And make it more. Oh, this doesn't work. Okay, I just either put it upside down or let it be and go.
Right.
And come back again the next day. I think that's from the kind of daily practice standpoint. It's not. It's less stressful if I think it that way. But also again, freedom to let people, first of all, to let people feel what they see and interpret it however they want it. It's almost like jazz. It's very loose and I don't know, freeing.
Yeah.
You know, it's not literal things. It could be anything you want in a way. Ideally, they feel joyful and happy when they see my work. That's what I want to bring to the world. But people might say like, "Oh, that's makes me sad. So that's up to them too. Uh, yeah, but I think I like the layer of it. So in the beginning, people will look at it and will react, right? Positive or negative or in between. It's up to them. And then they see the title. That's the second layer. The title would connect to the work and kind of pique their interest intellectually.
Right.
The first from the heart, saying, yes, I like it, I love it. I don't know what it is, I love it. And then look at the title. Oh, what is that? What is this? Why you title it that way?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like the brain connect to the heart and start thinking about like, what is this thing? And then maybe they have conversation with me, and then we can talk more about that or not.
Yeah.
That's also a possibility. So I think the layer of meanings and inviting people to kind of feel and think at the same time.
Yeah, I like that. So are
Yeah.
you an artist who likes to like have a conversation with someone about your art pieces?
If they want to, yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah. Depends.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, but most artists sometimes. I mean, I'm included. I think we like to let the work speak for itself. Like I make the work, and I let
Yeah.
those things. But some people like to ask questions. I welcome that. Like, okay, let's talk about that.
So how have you been able to get your art into galleries? Like what was your journey about like getting like recognized?
Yeah. So the first one was there's an art call by a gallery in Kirkland, and so I applied to that, and then I got accepted for a group show. So basically the art call was for a group show, and I just applied for it, and I think I applied. I gave them 3 images, and then they call me, and then they're judges. So the judges would ask, or it was my opportunity to explain what the work is about and blah blah blah, and they took one of my work as part of the group show. That's the start.
Yeah.
You got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, so that work sold. And then after that, the gallery just worked with me throughout the year, asking me, do you have this piece? You have that piece. So it's very gradual move. It's not like, okay, you got solo show. Not like that. Everything is relationship building, so slow movement. And then after that, I continue as well posting on Instagram, and that's my marketing tools.
Yeah.
And it's really good to me. So
yeah,
far.
You got a good Instagram following.
Yeah, it's not bad. it's not, it's pretty good. So yeah, from that, the gallery in South Carolina reached out. But I think because of the Instagram, so the posts, and usually people follow you for a while because they want to see what you're doing and make sure this guy's not crazy and all that stuff, right? And then they reached out.
Yeah.
And then after that, the one in Whidbey Island as well. So everything kind of gradually showed up, because I showed up.
Yeah.
I used to post every day. Not that like it's a requirement. It's just like part of my process. I work. I took a video of it, or I take a picture after I work, and then I post it. Partly also for me to look at my work in a different light. Literally, I look at it here, live, and then I took a picture. I look at it on the phone. It could look different.
Right.
I can see something different. And then I post it on Instagram. I scroll. I might see something different too. Like, oh, something's wrong with that. Let me fix it. So it's almost like becomes my routine. I work, take a picture, and post.
That makes
for a
sense.
while. Yeah.
As like musicians and I even do it with my own podcast. There's I forget what it's called, like a 3 type of like tests, basically, like a listening test, right? So
Yeah.
like it's like, how does it sound on your laptop?
Uh-huh.
How does it sound in your headphones? How does it sound in your car? And maybe how
Yeah.
does it sound on speakers? You know.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I kind of see that with what you're
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
with
yeah,
posting,
yeah.
seeing a
So
different
that's how
way.
you test the sound.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
it's a
cool.
whole thing.
Yeah. No, it's actually the same thing. Yeah, different screens and different views. Yeah,
For sure.
You see differently. So, yeah.
So what are your goals
Cool.
with Nino Studio? So like
Okay.
your, I guess you would say like your kind of your residency opened a day after mine, August 16th, and it's till May. Are you looking to continue to stay in that space, or
Yeah.
once that ends, are you just going to be back in Ballard, or what is your
Yeah.
goals?
I don't know yet. So it will end the end of the May. And my Ballard studio also, the lease is up in May.
Oh my gosh.
So I have to figure out which one I want to stay or I want. Right now I have 2 spaces, which I don't think I need that. So I don't know. It's an interesting, definitely something on my mind all the time.
Right.
Because I feel like there's good intention to have this space open. It's good for the art walk. It's good for the community, I think, of Pioneer Square. And the question is, how can I sustain it financially?
Right.
If I can, I think I would stay here.
Right.
Because it's more work, but running it. But I think it can involve more people into that. More artists can show there. And if I compare that to the regular studio, it's just me working and all that stuff, right? So ideally, I'll stay, I think. But you just never know.
Right.
The spaces could be very expensive, right?
Oh yeah, you don't know yet?
I pretend not knowing.
That would be $10,000.
I know.
No, that makes complete sense. That's what I'm doing. I'm literally like, you asked me off the show, like I'm connecting with my neighbors.
Yeah.
I've literally have a partnership with someone on the second floor. I have had the basement guys, Joe, the studio owner, on my podcast. I'm a DJ also. My DJ equipment's in the corner, right?
Okay.
And like I'm literally starting to DJ bars and clubs.
Okay.
I could go to Capitol Hill to DJ, but I'm trying to DJ in Pioneer Square to help build that community up, right?
Right.
So, it's all about, this is a place that's starting to blossom with different types of art, and like art can only be sustained if there's a community behind it. So like, I'm happy to have had you on the show, and I hope that like we can help build each other's communities up.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's how I'm gonna thrive. That's how you're gonna thrive.
Yeah.
So it's what do you think of like Pioneer Square so far? Like, what is your experience with the community?
I mean, there's another question. I ask Sam from Seattle Restore too. How is it going? Is it helping or not?
Right.
It's a lot of work for me.
Yeah.
But I'm not that I'm sour with that. I'm grateful with that work.
Right.
It just sometimes you feel you want to question, like, is your why match with the outcome?
Right.
So the answer of that I don't know. Again, I've seen a lot of traffic during Thursday Art Walk, and when I talk to people who stop by, they said, "Yeah, it's always been busy." Is it back to pre-pandemic or I don't know. I think it's about there, but maybe not pre-pandemic.
Right.
So different people give me different answers. So I don't know. Seems like there are still things that we need to clean up. Feels like, but especially next month, I have people from out of town, out of state, coming for my immersive art workshop for 4 days. That make me worry. One person asked, "How safe is it,
Right.
Pioneer Square?" Because I want to say, safe.
Mm-hmm.
Come. But I can't say that yet. I have to say, just like any other downtown, it's generally it's pretty safe. It just doesn't matter like how do you feel when you walk around. It's not about like somebody will attack you or anything. It's just what do you see in there sometimes makes you either feel down or sad or sorry or whatever that feeling is.
Right.
Usually kind of negative, and that kind of can bring down their experience. So that's my, if I have magic wand, I want to like damp that down really really good, because so people could feel comfortable hanging around here. Yeah, I mean, I don't hang out in this area that often before this space, so I can't really measure it. I don't know, maybe better than I do. Like, is it better now? Is it?
I don't know, man. That's the thing too. That's I've always kind of felt like Pioneer Square has had that stereotype of being kind of more rough.
Okay.
That could be wrong though. Like, there's literally like bars that have been here for like
For a while,
almost 100 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Central Saloon is down the street, and I'm pretty sure like Nirvana and people played there, right? So like, there's a lot of culture here.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gotten worse or if the culture has always been a kind of like grimy, I guess. But I do know that before having a space here, you could probably find me making jokes about Pioneer Square, right? Yes. And now that
you're here,
I'm here, I want to support it and I want to uplift the community.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking for answers too, as much as anyone else.
Okay. Well, at least we all have the same, I think, intention to it.
Yeah.
So that's good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean,
but it's gonna be up to us, like I said off air, Seattle Restored are like the baby birds, and they're giving us this nest, but they're gonna push us out eventually, and it's gonna be up to the people to like for us to maintain that. Obviously, there's gonna be like the community of just businesses around, but there's also gonna be the Seattle Restored community too, or participant community. That if we want to stay in our spaces and make the most out of this opportunity that we've been given, we should stay connected.
Right. So no, that's a good point. Yeah,
for sure.
It's good to know that we're not alone. Like I connect with you and some other people around. Because it could be scary. Especially from scary in a way where. One is financially, it could be scary. Yeah. But also doing the work too.
For sure. I'm 23, about to have 2 leases. I'm like, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
But I'm figuring it out, you know, one step at a time.
That's good.
But with that, my final question for you is, what is some final advice you have for up and coming artists, creators, influencers?
I would say. So many of them, but don't worry too much about the noise. I think that's the thing. Especially if you're, it doesn't matter if you're in social media or not. Especially if you are on social media, there's always negative things out there, and just learn how to regulate that yourself. If you create something, do it for you first. And then don't worry about the other ones. So but you do you. That's the thing. Like what we're doing right now, I guess.
Heck yeah. So where can people find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they buy your art?
Yeah, so the website is Nino.Studio. That's my website. You can find me there. And then my handle on Instagram is Nino Yuniardi. A little bit long, so maybe Nino.Studio would be good, and then go find my Instagram there. But that's all my stuff in there.
Heck yeah.
But
This has been the NAST podcast with
Nino.
And we did it.